Hi folks, HR Funk back with a handgun video. Some of you may recall a few months ago I made a video called Why I Don't Prefer the Glock. To date, that's been one of my most viewed videos, and it's definitely gotten the most responses of any of the videos that I've posted. So what I decided to do today was answer a question. One of the more common questions I've been asked on that video is, well, if you don't prefer the Glock, what pistol do you prefer? I'm here to answer that question today. My preferred handgun, now I'm talking about for defensive applications, not for target or hunting or anything else, but for defensive applications, the firearm I prefer is the Smith&Wesson M&P. In this video, I'm going to talk about why that is, talk about some of the features of the M&P, and why I prefer the M&P as my defensive pistol of choice. First and foremost, the thing I like about the M&P is the fact that it fits my hand like a glove. With the interchangeable grip insert, and I prefer the large grip insert by the way, it just fits my hand perfectly. When I point this pistol, the sights naturally come up for me. You may recall when I was talking about the Glock, in the Glock video, I said it always points low for me. The M&P always comes up with the sights right where I want them to be. So to acquire my target and get quick shots on target, the M&P works better for me than the Glock does. By the way, this is not a hit piece on the Glock, so everyone out there that's starting to get upset that I'm talking about the Glock, just understand I'm not knocking the Glock, I'm just saying this is why I prefer the M&P. And number one is the fact that it fits my hand and it points naturally for me. Number two, of the 4 M&P pistols that I have here on the table, 3 of them have been 100% reliable. I have several thousand rounds through, particularly these two, but also through the Shield. I have quite a few as well. And I have never, ever had a malfunction with this. I also had an issued M&P from my former police department, never had a malfunction with that. In my experience, the M&P is drop-dead reliable. This is obviously the most important consideration with any defensive handgun. I did quite a bit of testing with these before my prior police department adopted that particular handgun. And I can tell you through the testing I did, the M&P did very well. Now recently on YouTube I've seen some video tests where at least the M&P that was being tested didn't do so well. All I can say that is in my experience and in my testing, this has been a drop-dead reliable pistol. The only one of these that I've ever had any problems with reliability, and I should say it's very sporadic, is the M&P 22, and I think that's kind of generic for 22 semi-autos across the board. I don't know of any of them out there that are just absolutely 100% reliable because they're so dependent on the ammunition that you're shooting out of them. Whereas the 40s and the 9mm and the other varieties of M&Ps just seem to be much, much more reliable. With the 22s, every now and then you'll have a stoppage, but that gives you a chance to practice your clearing drills. Number 3 for the M&P, thing that I prefer, is the trigger. Let's triple check this. They've all been safety checked. I'll check it again. The trigger on this pistol is very, very good. Now, one of the things that I have to discuss with regard to the trigger is the fact that Smith&Wesson has changed the geometry on the trigger parts during the production of the M&P. Both of these are relatively early production M&P 40s, both the full size and the compact. And I can tell you the trigger on both of them is very good. Of course, they've also had the benefit of being cycled thousands and thousands of times. But both the full size and my M&P compact just have fantastic triggers. I wish I had a trigger scale to weigh these, but I'm guessing that's probably in about the 4-pound range for this one. And this one's right there with it. It might be 5. Very good triggers on these. Now, for reasons that escape me, as again, Smith&Wesson has changed the triggers over the years. And I remember I got both of these fairly early on in the M&P production. And I was just very impressed with the trigger. And as time went by, I started reading accounts online of people who were complaining about the M&P trigger. And I thought, what are you people talking about? It's a fantastic trigger. Then I handled some of the newer production pistols, and I do notice a difference on the trigger. I took them apart, I looked at them, I compared them to these pistols, and I could tell particularly on the trigger bar. The loop that engages the sear is a different angle than it is on these pistols. As far as I know, all the springs are the same, but they have changed that, and it does make a noticeable difference in the trigger. Don't know why they did that, but if you don't like the pistol, there are aftermarket triggers that you can install in these. I like the trigger just as it is. My Shield is a relatively new pistol, and it has the Dewar style trigger in, and I can tell a difference with that trigger. However, I also work with it, and I don't have a problem putting bullets where I want to. So again, a lot of when you hear people talk about trigger, it comes back to training with that firearm. Even if you're using a double action revolver, you can fire a double action revolver quickly and accurately if you train with it. And you can certainly fire these quickly and accurately if you train with them. In general, I like the trigger of the M&P better than I like the trigger on the Glock. The trigger on the Glock feels very spongy to me, whereas the trigger on the M&P has a very good break. Reset on these I also find very good. Reset on the Glock, you have to release it a little bit farther before you get reset. So again, like the trigger on the M&P, that is number 3 for the reasons that I prefer the Smith&Wesson M&P. Number 4, I have a family of firearms here to go from everything from uniform duty holster carry to off-duty carry to concealed carry, and they all have essentially the exact same operating system. So when I work with these pistols, I can tailor what I'm carrying to my mode of dress for the day or what I'm doing for the day, and still, if I need my firearm, it operates exactly like it does, whether I'm carrying the full size, the Shield, the compact, or if I'm just out shooting, the M&P 22. So I like that. Now, some people complain about Smith&Wesson not developing a Glock 19 style or a Glock 19 size version of the M&P. I'm not sure what the Glock 19 or the Glock 23 does that the M&P compact doesn't do. It is slightly smaller, not tremendously so. You still get a good grip with the magazine finger extension there, so you don't have a situation like you do with some small firearms where these fingers are hanging off the bottom of the grip. And if anything, this pistol is a little bit more concealable than the Glock 19. So again, I'm not sure what it is that folks think would be gained with Smith&Wesson increasing the size of this pistol slightly to make it Glock 19 size, but I don't see a problem with it. And again, having the entire family for whatever I might need, I think is a benefit, or it's a plus for the design, and it's a plus for Smith&Wesson. Now, I realize, even as I make those comments about having the family of Smith&Wessons, that everyone can say, well, Glock has the exact same thing. They have everything from full-size Glock 17s, or even Glock 20s or 21s for that matter, all the way down now to the 380 style Glock. And that is true. And I think that's a good move for any firearm or any handgun factory to give you that family and allow someone to be able to carry a small concealable firearm that operates, for all intents and purposes, exactly like their full-size duty weapon that they train with all the time. Quick criticism of the M&P. One of the things that I don't like, and I think Smith&Wesson has corrected this to some degree, is the fact that they have steel sights, which is one of the things that a lot of people talk about with the Glock. They wish they had a steel sight. But these steel sights will rust, and that rust will spread to the slide of your M&P, even though this finish is not supposed to rust. I've seen it happen. I've sent firearms back to Smith&Wesson because of the rusting on the slide. In fact, the reason that this one is now two-tone Duracoat is because I got some rusting on the slide that started on the sight. I can tell you, by the way, the Duracoat completely cured that. That's been a number of years ago, and once I refinished it, it has never, ever even thought about rusting again. So there's a plus for Duracoat, and it is a knock for the M&P. Again, I think Smith&Wesson has worked on that recently. I've not noticed it as much with the more recently produced firearms, and I don't know if they've changed the finish to the frame, or excuse me, the finish to the slide. If they've changed something about the sights, I don't know, but I just don't notice that rusting anymore like I did early on with the M&P. Another nice thing with the M&P that's been there since early on is the universal equipment rail. Years ago, Smith&Wesson pistols had a proprietary equipment rail. Fortunately, they've done away with that, and this will now fit any kind of flashlight, laser, or whatever other type of accoutrement you want to add to your pistol. And that's true for the full size, the compact. They did delete that from the shield, and I get it. The shield is for concealed carry primarily. You're usually not going to have a flashlight, a laser, telescope, or any other kind of apparatus attached to your deep cover concealed carry firearm. But in all the other aspects, the shield mirrors the full-size M&Ps. Another thing, going back to the family aspect of the M&P, is the M&P 22. This thing, I've got a couple of videos on the M&P 22 from when I originally received it as a Christmas gift from my wife. Thanks, honey. But very nice pistol for training. At least back in the days when you could find 22 ammunition relatively inexpensively, it was a good training pistol. Nowadays, maybe it's cheaper to buy Winchester White Box 40 Smith&Wessons or something like that. But still, if you can find cheap 22 ammunition, this makes a good training pistol. Although in the interior workings of this pistol are different than the standard M&Ps, it feels exactly the same. The trigger pull feels the same. The function feels the same, other than obviously you don't get the level of recoil from the 22 rimfire that you do with a 9mm or a 40. But always like to shoot this. It's a fairly accurate pistol, great for working defensive drills, and again, using inexpensive 22 ammunition. I guess the last comment I'll make about the M&P is every one that I've fired has been very accurate, extremely accurate. In fact, hopefully we can get out to the range here soon, do a little bit of shooting with some of these, and we'll demonstrate that level of accuracy for everyone who's interested. Well, that's enough talking about the M&P. It's time to come out here on the range, do a little bit of shooting, and see what kind of performance we can get out of this. A couple of things I forgot to mention when I was doing the tabletop review is the steel chassis inside the M&P. If you're not familiar with it, there is a steel reinforced chassis inside the frame of the M&P, and the one thing you'll notice with it is it does help with recoil. If you compare the M&P to some of the other semi-autos out there, you'll notice, especially shooting the 40, that you get a little bit less recoil, a little bit less muzzle flip with the M&P. Other thing I didn't mention was the magazine capacity, partially because pretty much every full-size semi-auto out there these days has a magazine capacity between 15 and about 18 rounds. For the 40 Smith&Wesson version of the M&P, which is what I have here, it's a 15-round magazine, so you get a good capacity, along with all the other attributes that I mentioned when I was doing the tabletop. So again, enough talking, let's do some shooting. I'm going to start out with an accuracy drill. I'll start out at probably 20 feet and see what kind of a group I can shoot. After that, we'll move into some defensive drills and just give the M&P a good run through and let you folks take a look at how it does. Okay, I was feeling a little bit shaky on that first 5 shots. I'm going to try that again because the group that I just shot is not representative of the pistol. Try it one more time, see if it looks a little better. That's more like it. Okay, this was the first shot, or the first group rather, that I fired. Again, just not feeling quite locked in. Then I came up here for the second 5 shots. That's a little bit more like it. That's a 5-shot, 1-hole group, and that's what this pistol is capable of. Again, I'm shooting from about 20 feet, and they all basically went into one big hole. Okay, next up we'll do some failure drills. 2 shots to the body, 1 shot to the head. And we'll take a look at the controllability. And again, the pointability that I get with this pistol because of this grip is tremendous, and it helps me with this type of shooting. Okay, and no problem with the failure drill. 2 shots to the body, 1 shot to the head. One of those went right into this same group with all the others, and I managed to pull 2 of them just slightly off to the side here, but still well within the head. And again, the body shots are just fine. Okay, I'm going to finish up with just some double taps and some triple taps with the M&P. I'm going to wrap these off pretty quickly, and we'll see how it runs. And there we go, just that fast. Those were all to the body, no problem with point shooting and keeping those all center chest. Just as fast as I could come up on target and squeeze the trigger. Again, that's largely because of the contour of that grip and the pointability that I get with it. So there you have it, folks. That's my quick video review of the Smith&Wesson M&P pistol. Again, I've done a lot of shooting with this. I've done a lot of testing with it. I have found it to be a very reliable, very good firearm, and with the entire family, between all the way from the Shield up to my full-size duty gun, they have been very good firearms for me. They are, without a doubt, my most carried firearms. And not to say I never carry anything else, but about 90% of the time you're going to find one version or another of the M&P pistol on my person. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those below. And until next time, good shooting. Bye-bye.